Hello, this is Lisa Russick and Misty Lore with the podcast We're All Psychic. And today we have an incredible guest. I can't stand how excited I am. Her name is Meesh.
Yes.
Can you guess what that's short for, listeners and watchers? Watchers is a video podcast on Spotify. So Meesh.
I'll give you.
We're not going to tell them. We're not going to tell them. They're just going to have to fill a poll out. I guess they're going to have to. I can put a poll on this. But first, Meesh, we have a question for you.
Yeah.
That's what Misty was all nagging at me about, weren't you?
Yeah. Ask her a question.
Meesh, do you think we're all psychic?
I believe we all have spiritual gifts. Whether we all have psychic gifts, I don't know.
We kind of generalize psychic as the energy work, working with the energy. That's kind of how we sum it up. It's catchy to say psychic. We are all psychic. Does that give you a different answer by any chance?
I would say if we can all do energetic work and we can do that, then yeah, we all have the capability of.
I think so too.
Able to tap into it.
That's exactly it. Yes, and learning how and believing you can and not poo-pooing the people who do.
Yeah, don't poo-poo on us.
Don't poo-poo on us.
Very nice.
The listeners and watchers. Meesh wrote me and she wanted to be on the podcast. She is a nomad. And if you don't know what a nomad is, like Misty wasn't
like I did.
Sure, she guys now know.
I wasn't sure.
Now I know. Meesh is a nomad, and that's all you need to know. So Meesh, have you always been raised around spiritual things, metaphysical things, new age things? Have you always been around it? Yeah.
I haven't actually. Oh. So I would say, I was raised around a lot of superstition, maybe. I was
too.
Yeah. I was raised in a hardcore Italian Catholic family. So everything.
Irish Catholic.
Yeah. Everything was in relation to God. We did, chat to St. Anthony when we lost our things, or, we'd have to do prayers if we did things wrong. But it was never about spirituality, really. It was about
morality. Catholic is morality and ritual.
Exactly.
I was Catholic too, yeah. For example, my mom, she was selling they just sold their house. It's been sold the first day. She took a statue of St. Joseph, Jesus' father, and she buried him upside down in her yard of the house she wanted to sell. I said, Mom, that's witchcraft. It's Irish witchcraft, Catholic witchcraft. And she said, yes, I know. And she said, then when the house sells, you dig Joseph up and you take him to your new house. And when you want to sell that one, you bury him again upside down. I thought that was amazing. It sold on the first day.
That's a good idea.
It worked.
It worked.
It worked. And she said she was so embarrassed. Like the people were in the house looking at it. She's like digging up digging up St. Joseph when they're trying not to open. They don't see it.
But that was
a state agent.
Funny.
She'd want to see it. But I was never raised around it except the superstitions too, and a lot of Catholic stuff is really mysterious. So the consecrating the Eucharist is like mysterious to me, and I don't know why women can't do it, but let's not go there. I do know why.
I don't like that part.
Because the guide said so.
Yeah.
So are you still a Catholic? Did you still practice the Catholicism or?
I really don't. I think a lot of my roots are more in spirituality. And I think everything has a very strong parallel, though. Instead of my God, I speak to my universe. Instead of praying, I now meditate. Instead of my saints, I speak to my guides.
Ones you picked.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of parallel. And that's the same, and I think in all religions, right? Whether it's God, Krishna, Buddha, Allah, universe, source, whatever you want to believe in, there is this common theme that there is a higher being. You have disciples, saints, guides, whatever you want to call them, and then internal reflection, prayer, meditation, mindfulness. So not Catholicism, not following that there was a Jesus who we, saved everyone and, died. And
yeah. Well, Catholicism don't focus that much on Jesus except at Easter. I mean, they do, but his resurrection and his birth are pretty much what Catholics get excited about. Really?
Yes, they do.
They teach from the Gospels, the same thing every 3 years. So we don't get to learn a whole lot except what they want us to know. And most of them are morality issues like we had talked about. I went to Catholic school. I don't know if you had done the Catholic school thing, but when you're in Catholic school, they don't like, we just did a podcast with someone who was raised Catholic, I think. And it was Joni, a friend of mine. I went to Catholic school. Yes, of course. How could I forget? And so I met her. You're like my 7th grade best friend. And Catholics, they don't tell you not to do psychic. You know, they don't tell you can't be psychic or that you can't use energy or that you can't heal with any reason. You know, they're like, if you can do it, it's a miracle. If they only knew how many miracles happen all the time, you know. So listeners and watchers, she's a nomad. Would you like to tell them how many countries you've been to?
Yeah, so I've been traveling. I left the United States back in 2014 for the first time. I flew to New Zealand as my first country because it was the furthest place away from home. You know, naive American brain looking at a traditional Eastern Western hemisphere. I picked the country that was the furthest away from my.
Wait, where's home? Where was home?
Boston, well, Sutton, Massachusetts. It's a very small cow town in central Massachusetts, 7,000 people population. Very small.
Love it. Okay.
But yeah, so for the last, it's going to come up on 9 years. I've been to 37 countries.
Wow.
Awesome. What was your favorite?
Yeah.
Or favorites? Top 5. No order.
Yeah.
No order.
Food, Thailand. Ooh, that is so good. For the cultural experience, Mexico. I didn't realize how incredible Mexico was until I came here. It was one of the later countries, but really beautiful. I also really adore South Africa, being on a safari and one day, the next day, being in this beautiful metropolitan city. I'd probably say my top would be Thailand. South Africa and Mexico.
I had a friend who was from Thailand in college, and he would cook us Thai food, the red curry, and all. So. He did go back to Thailand to visit. Now, his family lived in the mountains. You know, they didn't live in the cities and stuff. And they had like, you know, a hole that you go to poop in and stuff like that. I mean, but, you know, they were modern, but they had that kind of like going on. You know, they had money, but they still had that because they lived in the country and they didn't have plumbing out there.
Yep.
So, you know, I thought that was really interesting, but the pictures that he brought back. Crazy. I mean, the landscapes and the jagged parts and the rolling parts of the mountains and just the flowers, everything was so beautiful. Yeah. I can't imagine why you wouldn't like it.
And I mean, you have such a variety. In the north, you have the big rice fields that go on for what seems like ages. And then you go south and you're on the islands and there's hundreds of islands to pick from. And it's that white sand beach or even pink sand beaches with the clear water.
Yes, that's where I'm at right there. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious how you started opening up to your mediumship. And, you know, we talk about mediumship a lot on this podcast. Yep. How did you open up to it? Or was it always there and you didn't know what it was? Did you know?
It's a good question. So in 2019, I went to Peru and I attended a ceremony with a plant medicine called ayahuasca. Are you familiar?
I know what that is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We've talked about ayahuasca.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I was working with the Shipibo tribe in Peru and I had 4 ceremonies and you know, I went there with this idea. I want to know what my purpose is. Like I felt
we talk about that all the time. We want to know. Yeah. Nobody tells us.
Like, why am I here? Why am I here for this? It's not to work 40 hours a week because every time I do this, I feel miserable. It's not to be in a relationship and be someone's wife. Like, why am I here? And after my ceremonies, I would say about 6 months later, I started getting this feeling again, like there was someone in the room. And I had only felt this when I was a very, very little girl. And I used to tell my parents all the time, you know, there's somebody in my closet, there's somebody at the door. And I wouldn't even sleep in my bedroom as a kid. I slept on the living room couch because it felt more comfortable.
Closets terrified me when I was a kid, unless it was daytime and the light was on and then that went in.
Yeah. And
otherwise they were just terrifying.
Exactly. So that's why I slept in the living room because people walk through the kitchen all hours of the night. So it feels normal, super normal. But then I started getting this feeling again. And my sister, who is actually also a psychic medium, had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm a psychic medium." And I said, "No, you're not. Lies."
I am.
How do you know? How do you know you're a psychic medium?
Yeah, right.
Well, you know, when I'm concentrating, I just kind of feel certain sensations. And I'm like, wait, you feel that too? Because we never talked about it, right? She's 10 years older than me. We're sisters. You know, that's just not a
That's a big age difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was like, being little sister, like, well, if you're a psychic medium, I'm a psychic medium. Like,
No, that's how it happened.
yeah, this is how it happened. And then
I'm going to travel the world.
yeah, why not? Like if she has this ability, I must have something, because I felt this way forever. And if she feels this way, I feel
it was
this way.
validating for you, right?
It was validating. It was so validating. And then I had my friend, we were sitting in Mexico as well. And I said, can I just try something? Can I just tell you what is coming to me? Because I just feel like this is something I need to share with you. And then I just started saying things about this guy, and, he did this and he played this Pokemon, and he's telling me about Ruby Tuesdays, about how you guys had this really deep conversation about your marriage. And my friend was like, that's my friend Alan. He passed away 5 years ago. There's no way you could have known that. And I'm like, I'm a psychic medium. I know I am. So I called my sister back. And
there definitely is, when I get it right. There's a feeling of, I don't usually think I will, but it usually happens right. And it's always surprising. It does feel like a score.
How did it come to you though?
Well, so I've always worked very deeply in meditation. So we were in Mexico. We were in Tulum, Mexico, which is just south of Playa del Carmen, south of Cancun. And we were doing a meditation together. And in that meditation, I just felt there was someone in the room with us. And he was the kind of person that I knew would receive this really well. And it was, only a couple weeks after my sister had told me. So I'm like, let me try it out. Try this. Let me see what this.
I love it.
I tried focusing on that person who was in that space, and I started drawing him out. I started drawing, what he looked like in my head, what he felt like, as if like he was already there in the room with us, and what I was feeling being around him. And I portrayed his friend who had passed away, and that was really healing for him. But I think
he needed that.
The other girl who was with us, I think, was the one who like got me, where I told her she didn't believe any of this stuff. And I said, that's fine. But I told her about her aunt, and there was a guy that her aunt was taking care of, but he was the same age as her. And he looked exactly like her. I was like, he looks like you should be twins. And she's like, I was a twin, and my twin passed at birth. And I was like, well, your aunt wanted me to tell you that your twin, she's taking care of your twin for you. And I was like, I found it. This is my purpose. This is what.
Yes. And it sounds like part of it. It sounds like part of what you enjoy is showing people who don't believe that this is nothing to be scared of, and this is healing, and it's real. Yeah. It was like a couple stories you're telling her about people who didn't believe, and then they're just kind of like, you didn't say they did end up believing, but they're still surprised and like, well, they'll give them some thought. Yeah. So maybe that's another purpose. You're here to do this and show other people that it's happening. You can do it. You can do it. Your sister can do it. Misty can do it. I can do it. Work on it. You can do it. So how would you, Misty? Oh gosh, I could ask Meesh a million questions. Why don't you go?
Well, okay. So your first place you went to was where? What was the first place you went to?
Yeah, I lived in Auckland, New Zealand, which is
New Zealand. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So where did you go after that? And what made you decide to start going to different places?
Yeah, well, I figured, so New Zealand was like my first baby. Like that was a new culture, a new country. I mean, it's in the middle of the Pacific. Like it was new food. Thankfully, it was not a new language. I mean, I was still.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, I chose that for a reason, because I didn't think I was ready for like a first country to be like in a very super foreign country.
Yes, that would be difficult.
Still very British, still has a lot of British influence, kind of like Australia. Australia, New Zealand are kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. Don't say that to anyone from Australia or New Zealand.
I know.
You know that better than anyone. I'm sure you
don't like that. I know.
I've always heard that's
sorry to all my Kiwis and Aussies. They don't like being added, but they are very similar.
They are. Yeah.
But yeah, from there, I while I was in New Zealand, I visited Fiji, which is kind of like the typical location to vacation to when you're in New Zealand. I visited Australia. And then I went home back to America for a short period of time to become a travel agent because I thought, I want to be a travel agent. I want to travel. Travel agents don't travel as much as you think they do because
they
they
make plans to travel. Yeah.
Sell people on traveling. So I did get to travel to some European locations and some, a few destinations here and there.
Cool.
But then I caught the bug and my mission was to just travel. So I saved up all of my commission from my sales. And then I did a 1-year backpacking trip of Southeast Asia. I did a 6-month stint in Central America. I lived in Peru. I went to Colombia. I've been across Europe and now I've hit Africa. So I've been to all 6 continents. I'm no desire to go to Antarctica. No desire. Too cold. Don't want to do it.
No, I don't blame you.
There's probably not too many ghosts there anyway, or spirits.
No.
Unless they're like megalodon spirits. I don't know. But I know Misty's asking questions, but the question, when you were going from place to place, did you learn different cultures, values, or beliefs around mediumship?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
I did actually. And maybe it wasn't necessarily mediumship, but with spirituality. So like even being in like Thailand, an extremely Buddhist culture. So it's about meditation. It's about present awareness. It's about understanding power, mindfulness. With Indonesia, they have a lot of devotion to like the gods that help them get rain and water and get their crops growing. So they do certain ceremonies like outside their houses. They put one element of water, fire, earth, and wind, and they put it outside their door every single morning.
Wow.
So, crazy. Mexico, Dia de los Muertos, they celebrate death. They celebrate life and the death that is inevitably going to come. You have places like South Africa where, you have like shamans who will throw bones down, and how the bones cross is how your life is going to unfold. So there is like little innuendos of spirituality and kind of this unknown source of where this information is coming from. So all these countries had their different way of showing psychic mediumship or psychic gifts.
Energy. Yeah. Working with the energy and the elements, witchcraft right there with the 4 elements, that reminds me of witchcraft, working with the elements.
Yeah.
And magic and stuff like that. But that's just as old as people, I think, working with the elements. So I think anyway, and who knows how old people are. So what is your favorite part about being a medium? I mean, I have another question too. It's a 2-part question. First that, and then as you've traveled and experienced all these cultures and their beliefs, where did you feel like you fit in the most? Like, what's your favorite part of mediumship, and where did you feel like your spirituality fit in the most?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I would say, I have my degree in psychology. So the idea of like a therapy setting always appealed to me. I always thought I was going to be a therapist. I planned to get my advanced degree and, PhD route, but I found travel, and that was my that was my education on life, was through travel. So I think like the idea of like that one-on-one attention that you can give to an individual and allowing them to grieve and allowing them to find closure and guidance and support and assistance from the other side that they're getting every single day. It's just that you're putting a megaphone on that support that they're getting and allowing
pointing it out, the little things they're doing, the dripping coffee, the stain on the floor that never goes away, the rug that's always, the window that keeps opening. So like, that's your mom.
Exactly. My friends will be like, oh, that's a weird coincidence. I'm like, no, that's your guides. That's trying to talk to you. That's not a coincidence.
They're like, not thought insertion.
They'll think like, oh, how weird that this is happening. I'm like, wow, isn't that weird? Because that's what was meant for you. And that's the lesson you're here to learn. So it's just so nice to put a megaphone on like those that, one, some people don't feel inclined to want to explore those gifts. So I can put the megaphone
too. A lot of people are very afraid of the bad thing.
Judgment. The judgment is real. Like it's real.
It is.
But in terms of where my spirituality, I think, opened up the most, I think was a time in my life where I felt the most ready and willing to share this gift. And that was in Africa. I mean, if we want to go to the history of people, I mean, we go back to Africa. We all go back to Africa. That's where all of our ancestry truly comes from. And in Africa, it is so still rooted in the culture to have shamans and have spiritual workers and have this idea that we need to maintain our abilities and gifts, whatever that gift may be. And so I feel like maybe it was where I was feeling the most confident in my gifts, and that's where I ended up the past 6 months. But I truly felt valued and truly appreciated for my gifts when I did go to South Africa. Like before, I was like, "Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a psychic medium." Yeah, and I do sales, and I do sales as well part time. Whereas, like in South Africa, I'm like, "I'm Michelle, and I'm a psychic medium," and they're like, "Oh, okay." And
like, do you see anybody with me?
Yeah, exactly. Do you see anyone around? What do you feel?
Yeah.
And I just feel like that was such a different perspective. And maybe it was my own fears. Maybe it was I was finally able to present myself in that manner. But I feel like Africa did that for me.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Do you think there's something about the energy of the land there, not just the history of the people?
It really is. I mean,
there's exotic things there that there's nowhere else.
It's so exotic. I mean, the animals. And I mean, when I first saw an African elephant standing in front of me, I was so connected. I was like, we are cut from the same cloth, because elephants are so unbelievably intelligent, and because they don't have a verbal ability to communicate with us, but they communicate to each other. They communicate when they have loss, they grieve. They are incredible animals. And just to see everything in its most natural form, and Africa was just, there was a feeling there. And specifically in Cape Town, there is a magic in Cape Town. That's the city that I've now considered my like home base, but it's the mountain range that is like held down by the sea. And it's just, there's something magical there. And
but your energy kind of like blossoms there.
Yeah,
do you feel more open? Do you feel like you get things more and understand things more, and on a spiritual level?
I mean,
you get clearer communication with the spirits there and stuff like that?
I think maybe not like clear communication, but I do feel like there is a strong value of community in Cape Town. I mean, not just in the spiritual community, but in the community of like, come as you are, and we appreciate who you are.
That's nice.
And that's amazing. And that's so beautiful. And they live a very simple life. And it's not like, they don't have elephants. My God, our projection of what Africa is just those like, what are those commercials where you have to donate to like the sick children?
Oh, the poor children in Ethiopia who are starving.
Yeah, it's not that. Please. Yeah. My God, poor Americans that think that's all Africa is.
Or starving Ethiopians. Some people from the 80s, they think that's all the whole is. It's babies with flies all over their face starving.
Yeah. Africa is so underrated. And yes, they don't have the best economy because they haven't advanced as fast. And yes, they have a lot of civil war. And yes, they have a lot of problems. But I mean, Africa
it's huge.
It's huge. And there's such a strong community there of so many nations, especially South Africa. You will find every single nation or someone from every single nation in South Africa. Everyone gets to South Africa because it's the most prosperous country, or one of the most prosperous countries in Africa in general. But there's just something magical there. And I think it's just this deep-seated belief within the land, within the animals, within spirits, within nothing happens by coincidence. This is all meant for us. And
I might be wrong, but I'm ready to go. Yeah, I'm ready.
I might be wrong, but isn't Cape Town, wasn't there a volcanic activity there at the end? It's not the tip of Africa, right? At the bottom?
It is. I'm not sure of any volcanic activity. It's very possible.
Well, I just noticed, like, I went to Hawaii when I was 18. I was just starting to read palms when I was 15. I didn't really believe anything. I was going on a math team trip, if that tells you anything, to Hawaii. Nice. But there's these volcanic mountains, and then there's water, and then there's this beautiful air, and you know, like there's bonfires everywhere you go, and there's people flipping fires, and I mean, it just feels like with this island, with this atmosphere of all the elements being right in your face, you know, big earth, big water, big wind, because you know, it rained like at 3:30 to 4, and wind would blow like right every day, you know. If you've been there, I guess you know. But I felt like on that island, I was me. This is where I belong. And I was really young. This is where I want to be. Never been back, but that's how I felt about it. And I felt spiritual there. I went off and left everybody. I got stung by a bee, and I had a bee allergy. So I was laid up after all the pumping all the stuff into me for a day. I didn't have to take math tests. And I did go out to this field near where the math team tests were being taken. And I sat at the edge of this field. There wasn't any water, just this field. And I just sat there and just like, I could feel my spirit just like expanding. I don't know how to explain it. Like me was expanding, you know, energy was just, that's the first time that had happened to me. I always kept it all close. You know, I didn't think that way. I just felt like I was pushing out. I don't know. It's hard to explain, expanding, you know.
Yeah,
I didn't have words for it then.
I think it also, I mean, now that you say that, I really think it does happen in many places where indigenous culture still thrives, because you find that in Hawaii, you'll find that in a lot of parts of Mexico, Guatemala, you'll find that in Africa, you'll find that in Asia. When you have like the indigenous people who are still very rooted, they still have their languages, they still have their traditions, they still have a very strong belief in the land that they live in. You do feel this very strong sense, even in the Amazon, like those tribesmen of the Amazon, they are spiritual beings. I mean,
oh gosh, yeah. They are.
Yeah. Being in the jungle for 2 weeks with the Shipibo in Peru, I mean, they are connected with
their life.
They are connected with the light. They are connected with their ancestors. And it's when you find those really deep indigenous cultures that, you know, still have that influence, I do feel like there's an energetic feeling that you get from the land.
Good point. Yes, because it still lived. It's still working.
So
still
how did you end up getting in with the tribe? I mean, I know not anybody can just go up to them and be like, hey, for a couple of weeks. So, you know, how did that happen?
Yeah. So I had learned about ayahuasca maybe a year and a half before I found the center that I wanted. And that's what I personally recommend to anybody who wants to work with plant medicine. But for me, if I was going to work with a native plant medicine of the Amazon, I want to go to the Amazon. I want to be with the work in the Amazon.
How to do it. Yeah.
So it took me a while, and I researched a lot of centers. I mean, there's quite a few centers in the United States as well, but they're very posh and they're very accommodated, which is great. Whereas the place that I wanted, like, I was in the jungle. Like, it took us from the airport, it took us a 4-hour drive, and then we had to do a 1-hour hike, and like we were in the jungle. And there was facilitators that were European who had been working with the tribe for many years, and they wanted to open up their center to Westerners as well. Okay. So I chose the center specifically because they were working with the native tribesmen, and that they were supporting them and being able to extend the ayahuasca vine to those that
were you scared? It. Were you scared being in the jungle? I mean, that's the first. I have a fear of snakes, so I'd be like, "Girl, you know, there's snakes out there, and they're not nice.
They're big. They squeeze you.
They'll kill you.
They're bigger than you."
You know, I personally wasn't afraid of like the animals or like the environment. I was more afraid of, what am I going to face within myself that ayahuasca is going to bring out? Because everyone's experience is very different. And I was like, okay, we are going into our traumas. We are going to go into spaces that we feel uncomfortable. We are going to experience probably things that our ancestors are still working through within us as being in the human experience. So I wasn't necessarily, I mean, I did see a lot of spiders, a lot of snakes, a lot of monkeys, and a lot of
no, I wouldn't mind the monkeys and stuff, but yeah,
the bugs. There's a lot of bugs, a lot. Oh god,
Big
the bugs.
ones.
Big, nasty,
Big
loud
millipedes.
bugs. Oh, I woke up and I just saw carnage. Like I saw a lizard eat another lizard in my I was like, oh my God, this is the circle of life. And
That's what happened with the dinosaurs. They got littler, but they still do it.
So yeah, it was the bugs, but yeah, I was more afraid of like, what is going to come up and am I ready to handle
So
this?
what did? So did anything happen? Did you get what you expected or what?
Yes. I mean, I did 4 ceremonies, which is, quite a lot. But yes, I mean, I worked through the physical body. I worked through the spiritual body. I worked through the mental, emotional. I saw trauma that I hadn't been holding on to, that my, mother and grandmother and great grandmother and her great grandmother had been holding on, and I was purging for them. And I mean,
wow.
because it's, it's an hallucinogenic. So you do see some things that are not there. And you just have to lean into pain, because pain is where the lessons come in. And
yes.
And it was, it brought me to my gifts again. And I mean, if I had to do it again, of course I would, because knowing where it got me on the other side.
Wow.
And so many other people who have done ayahuasca for, mental health issues, physical issues, emotional issues. It's really, if the earth can create the sickness, the earth can heal. And I truly believe.
Amen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it should be a worldwide thing. It should be a medicine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't.
Remember, Misty, I told you about my friend who made her own. Now, I had a friend who made her own in Alabama. So I don't know if this is like, if it was like good ayahuasca or if it worked or not. But now she did it she tripped on ayahuasca for 3 or 4 days. I've talked about this on the podcast. And when we did a, shamanism and stuff like that podcast. So she got off all her psych meds. She did it for mental health. She had a lot of anxiety and she got off all her psych meds. But then a year later, it came back. And she made her ayahuasca again. I think she still will do it sometimes, but it just didn't stick. But I don't think you do it without the shamans guiding you or people guiding you to explore what you need to explore. From what I understand, the shamans in Peru, they walk you through it. And you're throwing up, they hold your hair back, My friend didn't have anyone holding her hair back for 3 days.
Yeah.
Anyone walking you through it, guiding you through the feelings, talking to you through and then you have something afterwards to go back to and remember to hold on to when you get the and I feel like, maybe if she had done it with someone who cared for her and had her best, it would have lasted maybe, I'm too afraid to go do that. That's not something for me.
I would love to do it.
You would. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
There.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have to have professionals with me.
Yeah, the shamans are, they do it all the time.
They're the professionals. If I was going to do it, that would be the way to do it. No doubt. I mean, that's got to really get some of that stuff out. Like you said, all the bad stuff, the good and the bad.
It just is like,
I think that
I understand it's like a purge. It's like and then you fill yourself back up by the end with good stuff. Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea.
So Meesh,
one day we'll get there.
I have one more question for you before I thank our sponsor. But I wanted to know of if anyone do you know anyone else who does what you do? First of all, who travels and explores their spirituality?
Not travelers, no. I think I actually, funny enough, I went to what's called a digital nomad conference. So essentially people who are nomadic and who work online. And so I do know some people who work more within like therapy or work within more like psychoanalysis. But I do believe I was one of the very few people who stepped up on stage and said, "Hi, I'm Meesh, I'm a psychic medium." And I only pulled maybe 15 people in the audience who were like, yeah, like
finally
go girl. So I don't know anyone who's working in the gift specifically as a nomad.
That's really cool. That is just amazing for doing that. And
I love it.
Where can they find you? Where can people find you if you're a nomad? How do they find you and get a reading?
Yeah, so I'm all over the place all the time. But usually I do 70% of my clients are virtual readings, so I can do it virtually. And I feel
do you have a website or do you have
so meeshkara.com.
I'll put that in the description, listeners and watchers. Anywhere else?
SHCARA .com. And yeah, you can book right on there. I can't believe I can say that I have 46 5-star reviews on Google. I'm growing
That's great.
my Instagram page. I'm growing, uncovering spiritual gifts. So helping people who are exploring their spiritual gifts.
That's what I want to do for a living.
Yeah, it's growing. And I knew that this was something I needed to do. And the fact that everything just like, it's like a brick, it's a brick walkway and each brick just keeps getting laid out for me. And
it does. That's how it happens.
It does.
Yes.
And I just feel so honored at
that's
this
how
point.
it happens.
Yeah. It's, when you're in your purpose, when you don't have to try. It's like,
exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. You have good words.
Falls into place.
She has a way of putting things, doesn't she? You have a good way of phrasing things that like, oh yeah,
I like that.
I understand better.
Yeah.
You are a good teacher.
Oh, thank you.
You are. And you said you are doing it, but keep doing it, I guess would be my advice if I had any for you. But I would like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app and website where you can get advice from psychics and empaths so you can get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve.
You deserve it.
Deserve it. I work for Everclear under the name Lisa P. Leesap. And Meesh, do you have any last advice for our listeners who maybe they want to be a nomad psychic or psychic medium? Maybe they want to do that, but they're scared or they don't know how to start.
Yeah.
Make the decision. What would you advise?
Oh, really, one thing that I personally do when I meet other people who are living in their purpose is pure gratitude for them for living in their purpose, whether it is being a psychic medium, whether it's working in your spiritual gifts as an artist, whether it's working in your spiritual gifts as an empath, Reiki master, whatever gift you are given, is just believing that this was the purpose and this is the path that you were meant to take. And when you pursue it, everything will fall so easily into place that will feel like you're not working. And that is just so important for people.
Beautiful.
That's well put. Thank you very much for that advice. That goes for anyone. I appreciate that a lot. Any last questions for Meesh, Misty?
You just said it,
Yeah, she said it all. You got words. You got good words. You got good words.
I don't have any words for your words. Sorry.
You got good energy. You got
beautiful
sparkles.
Beautiful.
You glow.
Yes.
Glow.
And I do know that she's on the right path. I can say that. I can see that for her. She's on her path for
you think she looks happy about it. So yeah. You seem happy about it. The listeners, if you want to go find her, I will put her description in the description of the podcast. And I just have a feeling anyone who got a reading from you would get a lot out of it and feel a lot better afterwards about whatever. Even if they weren't feeling bad, they'd feel even better. You just have that energy. It makes you feel good. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Got a lot to teach.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Misty.
Thank you, Lisa.
And lastly, let's thank our listeners and our watchers. We love you.
We love you.
Forever and ever. And we will see you sometime. I know we have a podcast coming up in Saturday, I think. Saturday. Win Saturday. And listeners, again, thank you. Peace out.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.